In today's clip, we return to the interview with the community builders that collaborated in an effort to develop a sustainable local food network that would provide support for food insecure individuals or food insecure communities as a whole. In the clip, our guests will discuss the bountiful wealth of underutilized resources and underrecognized skilled individuals nested within a local community. They also describe the exponential potential of connecting these resources and people with one another, particularly the opportunity each partner has to bolster one another based on each partner's relative skill sets and issues. Our guests would advise you to never underestimate the untold potential of your communities or yourself as a potential contributor. Take it away, partners.
You all have articulated that you each have a unique skill set and set of capabilities and capacities. And I'm curious, have you experienced those synergies, and what are they?
Well, if I could take a crack at that, I think the one thing that, and I tried to be very upfront with Pastor Whittaker on this, because I've worked in communities as with the consultant coming in and also hiring the consultant. This is the one night stand type of thing, coming in, doing the report, leaving town, and we'll come back if you actually pay us for the second part of the study. But from my perspective on this, and I told Pastor Whittaker, I have a long-term commitment. I don't know how many years I told him. I think he's trying to tell me 20 years. I don't know if I have 20 years left in me. But from a perspective of trying to make sure that we actually take things one at a time and to build on success. This is what I talk to my students about. And I think Pastor Whittaker and his group, Faith, has some successes, is that you go for the low-hanging fruit and you celebrate the success, and then you go on to the next item. So I think that's very important. And the other issue too is, like, I blush a little bit about, Frank came in and there's so much talent in Northwest Indiana. There's so many things that have been done. City of Gary completed a comprehensive plan in 2019, just before I came in on this project. With the long-range comprehensive plan, there's community input and buy-in to the process. So I know there was a recent buy-in. And so that was just an easy follow-through on this. But I look at ABCD, community development, asset-based community development. So we're looking at what you have versus what you do not have. You could always do a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And no matter what the community, you're always going to have threats and problems. But from a perspective, we overlook a lot of times some of our strengths. And some of the strengths are actually there in Northwest Indiana. And just to follow up, and then I'm going to end this little part of it, my story, is that, so I followed up with Pastor Whittaker. I had some grant money, research money last summer. So we had 3 interns, and Professor Szarleta had a person also from the IU Northwest campus actually work there on site at the urban farm. And it was very rewarding for the students. And it was quite interesting because the students, when they came back to Bloomington, I had them in my classes. They told other individuals, which excited other people in Northwest Indiana that are my students. So this is a seed. You plant a seed, and it's really rewarding to see it take off.
And following up on your point, Frank, as I reflect on everything that has happened and how much we can still do, right? I think about the work that is done in the community, right? The outcomes and the impacts that have been felt by the citizens, which is so powerful. And then what is so unique about this is that we also have this tremendous opportunity to connect students from 2 different campuses who have very different experiences to engage in that dialogue. So you're building their capacity to work together, to understand what the community is needing and how to engage with the community. And that is also a really important piece for us here at IU Northwest, because our students primarily remain in Northwest Indiana, right? And so they don't always have that opportunity, or they think they don't always have the opportunity to be in those engaged learning experiences. And so expanding that possibility by, connecting to the IU Bloomington students, by connecting to Pastor, is just really, it makes me very hopeful. And then as Frank said, once the word gets out, students are really wonderful ambassadors. And Mikey, I'm going to call you out on this because you were part of that. You were part of that experience. And so I look to those opportunities for our students so they can then go back out into the community and do the work continuously. Yeah.
The one thing I might add on that as well, depending what's going on in Ukraine the next couple days, weeks, supposed to be taking 30 students from the IU and IUPUI campus to Poland. We have a spring break trip to Warsaw, not Indiana, Poland, and now we're going to go to Auschwitz and some other places. But I also have a capstone, and some of these students are actually going to be looking at housing issues in a suburb of Warsaw. So, they're doing case studies on American issues, European issues. I don't see why that we can't have some IU Northwest students go to Poland. And the way I know the region, there might be one or two people with some Polish background in Northwest.
A few, maybe.
Yeah.
And everyone is Polish on Dingus Day, so we could make anyone Polish. You're Polish, aren't you, Pastor Whittaker?
It depends on the day. But I think, this helps bring all of us together. It's these unique backgrounds, unique things that we have, that we bring to the table, that help communities like Gary grow. It's when, I forgot you mentioned going to Warsaw, and was planning that, and sent some case studies from there and from other places that you had done work. And it's interesting you mentioned housing, because that's part of one of the other projects that we have from a tiny home perspective, as we look at, what can happen in communities like Gary that were still cities, still communities, still towns. That was their one trick pony, their one identity. Now, what can happen in these types of communities? And, we're exploring literally that as issues of what we can do to bring some change, some redevelopment to the downtown Emerson community of Gary.